Hello, have you got the Vaillant boiler that's got that touch screen display? It stopped working and now you have a fault code on the front of it. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to reset the boiler and get it back up and working again. Because on that nice display, it doesn't tell you how to reset it. Now, after you've reset the boiler, it's possible that the fault code will come back again. So I've gone through the most common fault codes which I regularly come up against, and then what you can do to fix that fault and get your boiler back up and running again. Now, if you have the F22 fault in your display, you can't fix that fault by resetting the boiler. You actually need to top the boiler back up again. And I made a separate video all about doing that, and you can find that in the cards above now or down in the description. If you want to know more about this boiler, how to adjust those settings and make the boiler as efficient as possible, I made a separate video all about doing that, and you find that in the cards above now or down in the description. Right, without any further ado, let's get on with showing you how to reset this boiler. So here's our boiler and it has F29 on the display. And it says ignition unsuccessful following flame loss. It will also show you the name of the person who installed it or Vaillant's details. Now there's nothing on the screen that's going to tell you how to reset the boiler. Now we can press the tick button and that just takes us back to the home screen. Also at the top of the screen there's a warning triangle. That's just telling us there's a fault on the boiler. We can press the menu button, but that won't help us either. It will just show us the central heating or the hot water status. If I press the back button, that's the arrow pointing backwards, it's just going to take us back to the screen with the fault code on it. Now you will also see that the power button is lit up. If you just press it once, it's just going to turn the boiler off. What we need to do to reset this boiler is to press and hold that power button for 5 seconds. That's then going to reset your boiler and you're going to see this screen come up as the boiler restarts. And there we go, that's the boiler reset, and now the boiler is going through its startup process. This just takes a couple of seconds until we go back to this screen, where we then can press the back arrow to take us back to the normal home screen. And now hopefully your boiler is back up and running again. You can now just run the boiler and see if the fault code comes back again. If it doesn't, then it's probably nothing to worry about. But if a fault code comes straight back again, there's not a lot you can do, and you're probably going to have to call a gas registered engineer to come and take a look at your boiler. Just a quick word of warning, if you are continuously resetting your boiler, then you might actually be damaging your boiler and making the problem worse. There are a couple of checks that you can do before you call a gas registered engineer, and I'll run through those with you now. So I hope that's helped you and you've managed to get your boiler back up and running again. Before I get on with these other fault codes, I want to quickly introduce myself. My name's Ballard. I've been a gas registered engineer for nearly 30 years. I make help videos to help you with your central heating and your gas boiler. If you check in the description or you visit my website, you'll see that I made over 100 videos to help you. So if you have found this video useful, then please give me a little bit of feedback by clicking on that thumbs up, and that will help others to find the video. You can click on subscribe, ring on the bell to get a notification, and share the video with your friends. And I'd like to say a really big thank you to everybody who's bought me a cup of coffee and left me a small donation in my Toolbox fund. It is really appreciated and it does really help me to make more videos which will hopefully help you. So the last two fault codes that I showed you was an F29 and an F28. Both of these faults can be down to a problem with the gas supply. So F29, that means that the boiler has gone out, so the flame has gone out when the boiler's been in operation. And then the boiler will try 3 times to reignite, and if it fails to reignite, that's when you'll get the F29 fault. The F28 fault is very similar. The boiler has tried to start up and light the gas, but ignition has failed and it will try to start 3 times before it locks out with that F28 fault. Now the only checks you can do here is to make sure that your gas is actually turned on. So if you're on a pay-as-you-go gas meter, make sure that you haven't run out of credit and the gas is switched off due to that. If you have a gas hob or a gas fire, you can just check both of those are working, just to ensure that your gas is actually turned on. One last thing you can check to do with your gas, and that's that your gas meter isolation valve hasn't accidentally been turned off. I do come across this a couple of times a year, so it's worth checking. And the handle should be in line with the pipework, like that. And that's about as much as you can do for the F28 and the F29 fault. Now if you get the F22 fault, that's pretty straightforward. You can fix that one yourself by just topping up your boiler. That's just a case of going underneath the boiler and topping it up with the filling loop. Or if you've not got a filling loop underneath the boiler, use the external filling loop and fill it up from there. Now I've made a completely separate video all about doing this, and I've left a link in the cards above or down in that description. Now if you ever come across the F75 fault, that's another pressure issue. That's normally caused by the pressure sensor incorrectly reading or becoming stuck. To try and fix this fault, we want to check the pressure in our boiler and top it up if necessary, and even put extra pressure in it, because that can sometimes unstick the pressure sensor and get your boiler back up and running again. Again, I made a separate video all about this F75 fault in the cards above now or down in the description. Obviously I didn't film this on the new boiler, but the F75 fault is exactly the same across all the Vaillant boilers. And finally, F61 and F62. Hopefully you're not going to get one of these faults until your boiler's about 10 years old. In the installation manual it says it's a gas valve fault, but I've always found it to be the printed circuit board that's at fault, and not the gas valve at all. Now this is one fault code where you can keep resetting your boiler. It'll probably get worse over time, and then the only thing you can do is to call a gas registered engineer to come and take a look at your boiler. Unfortunately this is a pretty expensive item to replace, so hopefully you're not going to get this fault code, because you're looking at around £250 for a new PCB. That's printed circuit board. Just remember, with all these fault codes, they are just pointing us in the general direction of the fault. So for instance, the F75 fault, you could be one of the unlucky ones where the pump has become faulty and needs to be replaced, like on this boiler. Now if you're not able to fix the fault and you do need to find a gas registered engineer, down in the description you'll find a link which will take you to the UK gas register, where you'll be able to find a local gas registered engineer who can come and take a look at your boiler. So I do hope this video has been useful to you. Don't forget that down in the description obviously there's lots of other videos, and of course on my website you'll find over 100 videos all about how to help you with your central heating and your plumbing. Right, so that's about it then. So if you want to watch my video on how to set up and operate your Vaillant ecoTEC with the touch button display, you can check on that video just there. If you've got a radiator that's not getting hot, then maybe check out that video just there. And of course, ring on that bell, click on subscribe, share it with your friends, give me a thumbs up, and there's always my toolbox fund. Bye for now, see you next time.